Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Welcome back to Framelines, this is Josh. So about 8 months ago I made a video called Street Photography Tips Episode 1, and since then we've been hounded by one lone comment asking for Episode 2, so here's Episode 2. I'm going to be talking about some places to look for inspiration for your street photography outside of Instagram. So some TV shows, some YouTube channels, some exhibitions. If you find this video useful, I kindly ask that you please consider smashing that like button. So I think cinematography is a really great place to look for street photography inspiration, and the show Better Call Saul is of course a fantastic TV show in itself, but the cinematography throughout has been hugely motivational and inspirational for me when thinking about street photography. The choices of different angles, different focal lengths, use of sub-framing, reflections. Throughout the show there's just brilliant examples of composition and how to make a much more engaging frame. You can pause Better Call Saul at any point and it will just be a fantastic standalone street photograph in itself. I really recommend watching or re-watching Better Call Saul and just thinking about the cinematography, thinking about the compositional choices, and thinking about how you can apply these to real-world situations. Another show I adore is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's set in New York in the 50s and 60s. There's one particular scene in the New York subway where the camera pans backwards through a busy sea of people. It adds more and more people to this beautiful tableau frame. You can see everyone's expression, you can see all these different gestures. These kind of tableau scenes are really what I try and look for when taking pictures out on the street, trying to create a photo that really draws your eye into the frame, tries to create a story in the photograph itself. The cinematography throughout The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is absolutely stunning. You also have this extra element of the vintage and the nostalgic, with it being set in the 50s and 60s, the costumes, and also the use of color as well. So YouTube is obviously a great place to also look for inspiration for street photography. There are lots of other channels out there other than Framelines. However, do check out Framelines magazine in the description below. But Faizal Westcott's channel is a fantastic street photography based YouTube channel. He does some POV videos around New York. He likes to look at film cameras and does some really in-depth gear reviews. He also looks at photo books, and he also has some fantastic tips videos for people wanting to get into or wanting to start taking photographs on the street. Another channel I love is Street Photography with Dante. The channel is exactly that, it's street photography with Dante. Some of Dante's photos are just absolutely mind-blowing. I'm really jealous of some of the street photos he manages to take. He's got 100+ videos of him strapping a GoPro to himself, hitting the streets and just cracking on with taking street photos. The way Dante composes these wide street scenes, the way he uses layers, the way he creates these tableaus with dynamic elements, definitely worth checking out Dante's channel. It's really great motivation for street photography. So you really can't talk about street photography on YouTube without looking at Samuel's street life. He's been a huge inspiration to me for many years. He does some fantastic in-depth gear reviews, talking about cameras specifically for street photography. He also does some longer form chats talking about the future of street photography. And he also does some quite fun little skits. I think Samuel might actually be as bad as me when it comes to chopping and changing gear. He may be even worse, I'm not sure. But if you haven't seen Samuel's channel, I really recommend checking it out. So before I look at some exhibitions, I wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsor for today's video, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for creatives. I've been using Squarespace myself for many years, before they even sponsored Framelines. They've been hosting my photographic portfolio, which I use to reach clients and collate my photo projects. They've got a fantastic assortment of customizable templates. You can use your own logo, but they've also got a huge array of typefaces to assist you with design and build a more customized look to suit your brand. You can set up your own domain or online store. It's really quick, easy and intuitive. To give Squarespace a go or to start a free trial, it's super straightforward. Use the link in the description to get 10% off or visit squarespace.com/framelines. So there's a couple of exhibitions I also wanted to talk about, one I've been to and a couple that are coming up. The first one is Helen Levitt in the street at the Photographers Gallery in London. Depending on when you're watching this, you may still be able to see it. One of the most influential street photographers of the 20th century, Helen Levitt spent decades documenting local communities in her native New York, capturing everyday city life in neighborhoods such as the Lower East Side, Bronx and Spanish Harlem. Working from the 1930s through to the 1990s, Levitt produced an extensive body of work, from her early photographs of chalk drawings to her portraits of New York subway passengers and vivid colour photography. This retrospective brings together key works from across her lifetime. So an exhibition of Mary Ellen Mark's work has just opened up at Huxley Parlour in London. I'm really excited to get down and see it. The Book of Everything by Mary Ellen Mark was probably one of my favourite photo book purchases of the last 2 years, and I'm really excited to get down to Huxley Parlour and see some of her work in print on the walls. Mark is widely known for her ability to photograph those on the margins of society with compassion and intimacy. Taking portraiture as its focus, Huxley Parlour's exhibition will examine the relationship between the photographer and her subjects. More broadly, the exhibition seeks to display Mark's significant contribution to the history of American documentary photography. And there's also a retrospective of Bob Mazzer's work coming to the Hastings Museum and Art Gallery from the end of January to mid-April this year. Shane and I looked at Bob Mazzer's photographs from the London Underground in an earlier Framelines video, and I'm really excited to get down to Hastings and again see some of his work in print in a gallery, so definitely recommend checking that one out if you can get down to Hastings. So, thank you for watching along, hope you enjoyed that, hope that was useful, hope there are some places you can get inspiration for your street photography there. Do you like that format of video? Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, please do check out Framelines magazine if you haven't already. We're really proud of it and we're currently working on issue 2. Thank you for watching along and see you next time.